What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Marco Dupa, and that guy right there is Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up, brewskis?
Thank you again for joining us. As always, you know where you are if you're locked in, so let's just get right into it. What do we have on tap for you guys tonight? Today, as of today, was the last day for the great Barry Bonds to be voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And was he?
No.
Should he be?
We're going to get into that.
That's right. And our good friend, our good pal, the great and powerful Joe Rogan.
Hey, Jamie.
Had a lot to say today with his friend, his pal, the Lobster Man himself, Jordan Peterson.
Lobster Man.
And one of the clips that's going viral is what is black, really? Is a black man really black?
I don't think so.
Not as black as Superman. All that and more on today's episode. But before we get into any of that, we have to get into what we're drinking tonight. So, Obi, please tell the people what we're drinking.
I would be delighted. My friend, we have the American Trappist Brewing. No, Spencer Trappist Brewery, which has made Spencer Monk's Reserve Ale, which is a Trappist quadruple. This ain't your ordinary Trappist, though. This is the only, as I read it on their website, certified Trappist beer made in the United States. So, a very special one tonight. And it does have a cold read for you. I will get into that after we crack this baby open, though.
We'll do it to it. Without further ado, this is episode 339 of the One Beer In podcast.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. That was a good one.
That was good.
Lost to be found. Not someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. Someone
He just put out
when
a single
it's
shot.
bright out. 4 to 5 a.m.
He basically
Takes me
fucking
to a
name.
place
Keep my fucking name out of your mouth. Like every time he tries to promote some shit, I guess he has something to say about old Maz. And Johnny Marr was like, he just deflected. He was like,
All right, whatever.
social media, man. What do you want me to do?
They asked me about you. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about you.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. They hadn't collaborated in like 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's been a long time, Rift.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, it's been. Okay, well, friends, we're back. And I have a cold read for you for the Spencer Monk's Reserve Ale. It goes as follows. Fragrant, robust, and full-bodied, this classic Trappist quadruple is mahogany in color and crowned with a dense, tan, frothy head. Its malt-forward flavor profile yields to a warm finish.
You got it, man.
Words are hard. This one, again, is brewed and bottled by the Spencer Brewery, LLC, the monks of St. Joseph's Abbey, Spencer, Mass. And this baby clocks in at a mighty 10.2%. So we're going to have a good time.
That's right. So let's clink it up. Ooh.
That's nice. Ooh.
And there is Spencer glassware, as most, if not all, Trappist breweries,
Buoys. It's already going in your head.
Trappist breweries should have the proper glassware
Sure.
for their beer, and Spencer does. We do not.
We're making do.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want us to do?
That's
St. Bernardus and fucking Delirium.
It's Belgium, right?
Yeah. So, this is episode 339 of the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew and see where that one brew takes us. Thank you guys again for joining us week in and week out. We appreciate the patronage, The patronizing.
Yeah, patronize us, please.
All right, let's get right into this bitch because we got some shit to talk about. So, we don't talk much sports on this show, though. We're outlier fans of sports. We just don't we just don't really delve into it because it's not a sports show.
For those who've been around for a while, let me sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
deep cut.
But this thing this most recent story is pretty important because it has a very it has a lot of its own sub storylines, and it has a lot of how am I trying to word this? It's important when it comes to the history of going forward, like what this is going to mean for, the rest of the legacy of baseball, really.
Well, and it folds heavily into our generation, too.
Yeah.
We were all up in the steroid era of baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, I think, all right,
a good time.
Let's just get that out of the way right now. It was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
It was, you know what? Yeah, let's get this out of the way right now. We are children of the steroid era.
Of course.
We're at that ripe age to where if you weren't paying attention to baseball before, you were fucking paying attention to it when they started ripping off. It was like fireworks. Yeah. Every week you'd watch SportsCenter and you're just like, how many did he hit? How far did they go? How fast was that fastball? Are you kidding me?
And the home run race, of course.
Of course.
Incredible.
The home run race. And in the midst of all of this just incredible feats of human strength and agility and speed and just surpassing what a person should be capable of. In the midst of all of this, Barry Bonds stood fat head and shoulders above all of them. Uh-huh. A lot of people say, most people who know baseball would say that Barry Bonds was a top 10 all-time player before he started juicing. Yeah. And some would even say he was a top 5 guy before he started juicing. And then he did start juicing, and he blew up like a balloon. Yeah. And then he just started hammering that ball.
Thor's hammer.
To the tune of being the having the most home runs in the history of the sport. I don't know how many. I guess you just pull up his stat sheet real quick. We just run down Barry Bonds, the man, the machine, the machine.
That's year after year.
Yeah, go to his wiki. It should pull up like his. It's right there.
Where?
Go back up.
Where?
Right to the right. Clicked it. There's a wiki.
Ah.
There you go. All right, go down. It should be right there. Run off his list of accomplishments.
Alrighty. Highlights and awards. 14-time All-Star. 7-time NL MVP. 8-time Golden Glove Award winner. 12-time Silver Struggle Award. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Silver Slugger Award winner.
Silver Struggle.
3-time Hank Aaron Award. 2-time NL batting champion. Home run leader. He's on the Giants Wall of Fame. They retired his number.
San Francisco obviously has no qualms about honoring him.
No. 762 career home runs.
Better than old Hank Aaron.
73 home runs in a single season. 2,558 career bases on balls. 232 bases on balls in a single season. .609 on base percentage in a single season. .863 slugging percentage in a single season.
Yeah.
So
he was a goddamn machine.
Yeah.
It was insane. When you look, you can't even quantify some of that stuff. You're just like, how many times? How many?
What?
What?
Huh?
So then, obviously, the steroid era was one of the biggest sports stories, and the fallout of the steroid era was the fact that a lot of people who otherwise may have been honored had to be have lost their prestige and have been dishonorably discharged from the league.
Baseball. Yeah.
And Barry Bonds is not a singular case, but he's probably the most high-profile case of a person who is an example of, his accomplishments were just that even before everything, like all of the controversy and the steroid era and being a part of all of that.
Yeah.
He had done enough in his career to warrant being in the Hall of Fame. The conversation now becomes, should what he has done disqualify him from the Hall? And also, I guess the real conversation is, what is the point of the Hall in the first place? Mm-hmm. Is it a thing to document the history of the league, or is it a thing to honor the accomplishments of the best players in the league?
Right.
And that's really what the conversation is kind of boiled down to.
Yeah, well, a major side of this is saying, well, sure, he may have been this great athlete at one time, but the fact of the matter is, it's well known that he essentially cheated with performance-enhancing drugs.
And that, for a lot of people, is the end of the conversation.
Right.
You do PEDS, you cheated. You don't get in. That's it.
Right.
There's no bones about it.
No gray area for it. I don't know. How do you feel about that, though? Given that I think, again, our generation was very much exposed to these monsters being the norm. And kind of, you see in a lot of interviews and stuff of guys who are playing in this era who were using and who weren't, or who were using discreetly enough to not be caught.
Yeah.
Which, remind me, if was Barry Bonds was he ever popped for anything? Because I don't think he was.
I don't know if he was ever formally...
I think it was just like a no duh. Of course he was.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever tested positive.
And we may sound super ignorant on this, but from my recollection, I think he always outright denied using, and no one ever caught him specifically. But then again, something had to have popped. There's no way, if we don't have any evidence.
Okay, he tested positive for 3 types of steroids.
There it is. Told his business manager he injected all
over the place. Oh yeah, so there's actually a Forbes article titled "The Case Against Barry Bonds Getting into the Hall of Fame."
Yeah, we should have read that.
Yeah, so he did test positive. Excuse me for my ignorance. I didn't hear of that formally happening.
Okay, so yeah, he did, and his manager stabbed him all over the place with steroids, apparently,
and stabbed him in the back for reporting it.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah.
That's what a seedy, disgusting, wild couple of years in the history of a sport, man.
Well, yeah, what I was getting to was, you hear, I've seen some, documentaries on it and stuff, and it always seems like this well-known thing in the boys club of the MLB. Of course we were taking this stuff, we just started to understand how impactful it could be for us with our recovery and getting, just being able to outperform anyone who wasn't using it. Anyone who wasn't using it was at this disadvantage, but everyone was using it.
Yeah.
So, you had to keep up, essentially.
Yeah.
Not that that's an excuse, because, that kind of proves that it is cheating.
Right.
If you just can't keep up without doing this to your body,
But if everybody's cheating, is anybody cheating? If you're all breaking one rule, you're still breaking a rule, but if everyone's breaking the rule, it's it's now again a level playing field.
It's not cheating in a different country, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's what it is. I mean, the way I feel about it is I am inclined to believe that I always assumed that a Hall of Fame was there not to just honor guys who were there, but the guys who were important to the guys who were either Hall of Fames to me are either highlighting the best of the best or highlighting people who were there who progressed the league.
Right.
Or progressed whatever said sport, right?
Yeah.
So I guess in that regard, you can make a case that Barry Bonds, regardless of how you feel about his actions, was one of the guys that progressed the league to where it is now. But I think if you let Barry Bonds in, then you just have to open the floodgates to pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
You can't say that Barry Bonds gets in and then the rest of these guys who were disgraced don't get in.
Yeah.
Especially with their numbers. It's like, how can you not have Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire in, for example? Just doesn't make a lot of sense. So the way I look at it is you have to draw the line somewhere.
Right.
And if it has to be, if you popped, you don't get in. That's it. Like A-Rod shouldn't get in.
Right.
The guys who it's I don't know, it cheapens it. It makes me feel like like when I was a kid, everybody took taekwondo or karate or some childish martial art, right? And when I got my black belt, I felt really proud of it until like the very next class when I was a black belt. I'm sitting and we're doing kicks and stuff. We're running drills and stuff, and I'm looking to my left and to my right, and the people who are the kids who are with me, they're just not on my level.
Right.
Like physically. They just weren't. I'm not saying I was fucking Bruce Lee. I'm just saying like I took it really seriously.
Sure.
I had the balance, the like the strength for I took
the internal flame. Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. I had the glow.
The eye of the tiger.
And they just didn't. They were just there to like, boost their self-esteem and like, get a nice little exercise in before they went to fucking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It was essentially a Pilates class. For
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
And it cheapened the belt.
Right.
It made me feel like, well, what's the point of this? And if you're a guy who spent your entire career doing it the right way, quote unquote,
Right.
and you get into the hall and then the next year they vote in some guy here like, I know that fucking guy cheated. I saw him in the locker room cheating.
Yeah.
It would cheapen it.
Well, a lot of people are bringing up David Ortiz in this conversation because he was voted in to the Hall of Fame after allegedly testing positive in, what was it, 2003?
Yeah, but did he like actually pop?
I don't know. A lot of this is saying allegedly or reported that, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if it was just covered up or if he actually didn't and it was just an allegation.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are bringing him up and saying, well, it's not that level playing field that you're talking about. You're kind of picking and choosing who you want in, who you don't.
Yeah. But why use Barry Bonds as the scapegoat for this whole era? You would think that he would be the one person that you would be able to make a case that despite everything that he did, he should be in. So for like everybody to be like, for them to pick and choose, like I see why Big Papi would get in.
Right.
Because he's Big Papi. He's a fan favorite. Everybody loves him.
Yeah. And he's remained close with the MLB. He's been on, simulcasts and stuff and become, not even become, is continued to be a voice in the league.
Yeah.
So
is that what it is? Is that Is it because Barry Bonds is, sort of disgraced?
Maybe.
And that they're just like, they, if you stay in close contact with the league and you cooperate, you get a little bit more oomph, you get a little bit more nudging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, same thing with A-Rod too, because he's on games.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I mean, he is admitted to taking PEDs.
Yeah, he just shouldn't get in. He's admitted to it. He just and he's a fucking prick. Like, he just shouldn't get in. Like, what has he done to what kind of penance has he paid for this?
He just looked really pretty.
That's it. He's just remained pretty.
Yeah.
Now he's got like a line for men's
makeup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pioneer. Which is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's not stupid that, like, men can wear makeup if they want. That's fine.
Sure.
It's
there doesn't. Let me say, there doesn't need to be men's makeup though.
That's exactly that. That's what I'm saying.
You can just wear
he's
makeup.
He's marketing it like
it's like dude wipes.
Well, and it's genius. It's genius. Yeah. Anytime these companies or like a celebrity spokesperson is smart enough to just be like, look, let's just do that thing, and you just slap my face on it,
right?
And it'll be like, it's for fucking guys.
Right.
Now we can,
right?
Like Machine Gun Kelly has come out with like a line of nail polish for men, and I think a lot of these guys, now that like the nail polish thing has become like an in thing to do,
sure,
a lot of them are coming out with nail polish lines, but like they're geared toward men. What does that even mean?
How?
That's what I'm saying. Like
what are men's nails different?
Yeah.
How are they different than women's nails?
Because the thing is, I don't think that you're playing with gender roles in the way that you think you are by going, this thing that was typically marketed to women, we're now going to market it to men.
No, you're taking one step forward and two steps back.
Right, exactly. Like I don't applaud you for being like, yeah, now it's for fucking dudes.
You're kind of, in a weird way, doing more damage. Like, you're encroaching on a typically woman-centric product.
Yeah.
And saying, no, this is for guys now.
Yeah, now we get to do it.
Right. It's like, no, just, maybe.
Just do it.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. And you can just, like, just make the product. I just don't, like, what does he fucking know about nail polish?
I don't.
More than anybody else.
Because he can go, I like that one.
Yeah.
And that's mine now.
Dog, I just...
Machine Gun Kelly Green.
Listen.
Maybe.
Take away all of the gender roles, take away all of society's pressures that they put on men and women and any person in between. Why would you do anything that Machine Gun Kelly told you to do?
Yeah.
What about this person makes you go, oh, he did that? I should do that.
Look, a lot of people enjoy his change of genre as an artist. A lot of people like it. I understand. We grew up in the era of pop punk being
I wouldn't
huge
say
as well.
I would say 15-year-old white girls like it. There's nobody that I know who was at the proper age for pop punk.
The proper age, yes. Of age for pop punk.
Of age for pop punk.
Yes.
Who now listens to Machine Gun Kelly like he gets it. None of them.
Yeah. I don't have a wide enough net to know, but
my net's not that wide either. But the handful of people who I know who listen to pop punk, they feel exactly how the rest of us do about Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah. Well, he's a bit of an interloper, right? Like, they look at him like an outsider who's just cashing in on the style.
Well, that's what he's always done. That's the problem with him. He did it with hip hop, and everybody fucking fell over themselves to praise another fast rapping white guy.
Yeah. Like, we need another one of those.
Jesus. Like, I need a fucking hole in the head.
Did you see the new Eminem thing?
Bro.
Yeah.
Apparently that's not new. It just went viral.
The viral thing then, yeah. I assumed it wasn't new because it seemed like something he would have done 5 years ago.
Yeah. I hated it so much. I was gonna retweet it and say something about it, but
it's the arcade video.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what we're
where
talking
he
about.
steps in.
It's
Just hibbity, and it's like 40 minutes of nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we got here because I want to talk about this. I need to say something about this.
Can we close Barry Bonds first?
Let's close Barry Bonds and then get back to.
Okay, you spoke your piece on what you think about him getting in or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, like just to put a button on it, I think that the first half of his career, the accomplishments that he made, would have warranted him getting into the Hall.
Yeah.
And then when you bookend your career disgracefully, it's hard for me to go, well, the first half of your career was enough, without at least saying, if the Hall is a place to acknowledge history, then he should get in.
Sure.
If it is a place
Of honor.
then he shouldn't get in.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Sure. That's fair. I think just based on my personal affection for that era and him, I mean, I grew up loving Barry Bonds. I would like to see him in, but I think that, like you said, once you let him in, it kind of opens the floodgate to all of them within that era that are, disgraced. I say let them all in, but I say put an asterisk saying this person was caught with this, and this in the bottom of their plaque.
Yeah.
List all their accomplishments, whatever you need, their story, where they came from, all of their records and all that. But then at the very bottom, it has a little red asterisk saying, however, this person was caught with this.
What if they just made an entire asterisk wing of the Hall? I mean,
Yeah.
like just not like
It's in the bathrooms. It's the urinals. You pee on their plaque.
Yeah, and you just.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to.
And it shows if you test positive for anything.
That's good. That's good. I mean, there's a lot of guys who did. Pete Rose comes to mind, where a guy who's
sure, yeah.
still isn't in the Hall and never will get into the Hall. A guy who but deserves to be in the Hall due to his physical accomplishments.
Yeah.
And he's not in, because of something complete, not even like performance enhancing, just completely outside of
Sure.
Sports betting.
Right.
And he doesn't get in because of the way that the league looks at that and the way that the league looks at him now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, he's not going to get in. And
There's apparently still a chance. There's like another voting process that happens, I think, in 2024.
Uh-huh.
But as far as being voted in by, I think, the writers, which is what this current voting process was, that's done. Yeah. So we'll see.
I don't know. Do you want to call South right now and do like 10 minutes with Southie? He's a baseball historian.
Right.
He knows. I mean, he could give us.
Sure. Yeah.
If you want to do it,
Yeah, it's fine by me.
I'll see if I can get him.
What up?
Hey.
Oh, no.
No. So we were talking about the Barry Bonds thing because obviously I'm sure you're well aware that today was the last day that the writers would be able to put him in the Hall, right?
Yes.
So-
Yesterday, technically, but yes.
So what I want from you, if you can do this, is I would like to hear you argue why he should and why he shouldn't be in.
To give the two sides that everybody has.
Well, because I mean, Adam and I we did about 20 minutes on it, and like the conclusion that we kind of came to, I said that if the Hall is a place for remembrance of the league, then he should be in. If it's a place for the feats of these people, then he shouldn't be in because he cheated. And Adam, yours was sort of the same, but like a little.
Yeah, I said there should be an asterisk if anyone was found, testing positive, being like, they did this, but they popped for this.
I guess what we're really interested in is the idea that he should be in. Like all these writers who are coming out for some reason now they're coming out, and they weren't coming out years ago when he could have got voted in year after year. Now, all of a sudden, in his last year of being eligible, all of a sudden you see all these writers coming out saying, like, it's a travesty that he's not in the...
Well, they waited till after the vote, too. They didn't try and get the momentum. Usually what happens in a guy's last year would be like this rallying cry to be like, fuck this, let's get this guy in here. So like Larry Walker last year, Tim Raines a few years ago, and there's all these op-eds building up to the vote, like, we got to get him in. But this year, there wasn't a word spoken about Bonds or Clemens till the second it was done. After all the voting's done, they're like, what a shame.
So what is the argument that he should get in? Let's start with that. What is the argument that he should be in the Hall?
So I'd say the main one that people go to is that the difference of him and Clemens compared to the other steroid guys is that they were both Hall of Famers before they even started taking steroids. You could take their career from the point of when we pretty much know when they started. You could remove all of those numbers and they were still already Hall of Famers. I mean, before the steroid thing, Barry Bonds was already a 3-time MVP and Roger Clemens already had won 4 Cy Youngs. They were already Hall of Famers. So the people that think that they should be in is that they got embarrassed here. You made them wait the 10 years, but they were going to be Hall of Famers. Yeah, they're pieces of shit on the field, off the field, whatever. But they were going to be anyway. So it's kind of ridiculous to not have them. Whereas someone like Sammy Sosa or McGuire or something, it's like, that guy's not a Hall of Famer without the steroids. We know that. Because you can look at the difference in their career or their ability. Whereas, yeah, I mean, Bonds and Clemens they just were Hall of Fame. They were superstars the second they started. Like, there wasn't like he's a pretty solid player, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's just like they were superstars. And then the reason why the numbers became such a joke is because they're the only 2 guys that were already Hall of Famers that took steroids, right?
Right.
So they became superhuman. Whereas some other guys were really good, started taking steroids, became Hall of Famers. And it's also, there's a few people that have just got voted in the last few years that we pretty much know did it or have at least been as linked as Bonds and Clemens too. So it's like the hypocrisy of like, all right, you voted for Ivan Rodriguez. We all know he did it, or like Jeff Bagwell, but it's like it wasn't a big case. There's not like as much evidence or something. So you put them in because no one cares. And it feels like you're punishing the main guys when in turn, the guy who's in charge of it, Bud Selig, who turned his eye to it because they were willing to let anything happen because they let the strike happen in 94. They canceled the World Series. Everybody said, fuck Major League Baseball. Ratings were down. I mean, the 95 World Series, the games didn't even sell out. Then all of a sudden the home run chase starts happening. Everyone knows people are using steroids, but they don't care because baseball got popular for that Bonds the McGuire and Sosa home run chase in 98. Everybody was watching who hit one tonight and stuff.
Right.
So that same commissioner, Bud Selig, they just put him in the Hall of Fame after he retired. So the guy who oversaw one of the worst time periods in the history of baseball, who let all this happen, he's in the Hall of Fame, but not the guys who saved the sport, right? I mean, like...
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's... So if you want to say... they weren't tested. They weren't illegal. Steroids were illegal in the U.S., but it wasn't illegal in the sport. That's why they just let them do it. I mean, right. Mark McGuire had a bottle of Andro or whatever the fucking type he used in his locker. You can see it behind him and pictures. Just, you hit 3 more tonight, Big Mac. What is it? How do you get your strength? I don't know. And then there's just a bottle of steroids behind him. Like, I mean, it was just like they didn't give a fuck. And then all of a sudden, once some of the popularity came back and once people were aware, like, hey, these guys are cheating, they're kind of ruining all these records, then they go, oh my God, this is disgusting. Let's ban these. But then that's the other thing. Major League Baseball hasn't taken any stance on their numbers, their records. There's no asterisk on the single season home run record. There's no asterisk on Barry Bonds' all-time record. They haven't made a stance. They're not banned from baseball. Barry Bonds works in Major League Baseball.
Well, so why do you think that him and Clemens have become like the scapegoats for the era?
It's because, particularly Bonds, he broke the records that mattered. So we're mad at him. That's what it is. That's why everybody wanted him to stop. When he was getting ready to break Aaron's record, everyone's like, just don't do it. Like you're going to ruin it. You don't deserve it. Hank Aaron had to fight through all this racism and hard times and all this shit to pass this record. Now you're just going to pass it. And we all know you're a cheater. So I think there's some bitterness. And it's also, Bonds and Clemens they are really shitty dudes. Barry Bonds is an awful guy. He threatened to chop his wife's head off and all this stuff. This dude sucks. God. If you look up he married some masseuse in Canada, and he made her sign a prenup, but she didn't speak English, so her lawyer didn't know what to do, so she signed it. She was 8 months pregnant, beat her up, threatened to chop her head off, rip her breast implants out. Then he divorced her, didn't give her a cent. She was homeless. So California had to change the state law because of the Barry Bonds. So the guy sucks, right? He sucks.
Right.
But he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Right.
Even without steroids. But it's that they made a mockery of it. They were too good of players. They were doing things at an age that's comical. When Barry Bonds in his career is a 286 hitter. When he was 41 years old, he hit 372. He was intentionally walked, not drawing walks. He was so feared, he got intentionally walked more than anyone else walked in baseball that season.
Yeah.
The guy's numbers when he's in his 40s are literally a joke. I think his age 43 season, on games where he didn't get a hit, he still had an on-base percentage of .414. So almost half the time, he's still getting on base without hits because he got walked that much. Buck Showalter, the Giants were down by 2 with the bases loaded in the 9th inning. Barry Bonds was up with the bases loaded. Buck Showalter intentionally walked him because they would rather walk in 1 run than to give him a chance to swing. He was literally... I always tell this story about, this was during the juice year for Bonds, 2003. I went down to a game with my dad up here in Cincinnati, and he was hitting batting practice, and he was hitting these missiles out into right field. They were like in backyard baseball when you use the aluminum bat, the way the ball flies out or something. And the ball's flying in there, and then one of them was coming towards us, and these 2 guys were standing there at the ball, and they dove out of the way. They bailed on catching the ball, and it hit the seat and broke the seat. The ball was going so fast.
Oh my
the guy was like a joke.
It's incredible.
So that's why everyone's so mad, because it's you go, fuck, you didn't need. I guess that's more so. It's you didn't even need it.
Yeah. Do you think that Barry Bonds would have broken the record without juice?
Absolutely not. Not even close.
Okay.
Not even, not a chance. And that's why people are mad. He wouldn't have. Let's look at it this way, dudes. All right, baseball started in 1869. From 1869 to 1997, 2 guys hit over 60 home runs in a season one time. Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs once. Roger Maris hit 61. Then from 2002 to now, no one's done it. From 1998 to 2001, it happened 7 times by 3 different guys. That's why.
Yeah, right, yeah.
They ruined all the records. That's why everyone's pissed off.
Yeah.
So the reason why you would say to keep him out is just, you don't have a right to the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
You get to keep your money, your fame. You even get to keep the records too. You don't deserve to have that honor of being into it, because whether you needed it or not, you still cheated. So I think Jeff Passan wrote about it. It comes down to if you view the Hall of Fame as a museum or if you view it as a shrine.
Yeah.
If it's a museum, then the steroid guys should all be in.
Right.
If they're the best players of their era, everybody's using it, then they should be in. But if it's a shrine, yeah, you can keep them out. But the issue is that, like, I know you're talking about Bonds and Clemens because of the steroids thing, but, you know, Kurt Schilling doesn't get in because they accuse him of being a white nationalist and stuff. So it's like, so he doesn't get in last year, and then he goes, fuck you, don't even vote for me. So they're like, okay, fine, we won't vote for you. So he's off the ballot too. But, like, so we don't vote for him, but then we're going to leave. I mean, but there's bad guys in the Hall of Fame. Right? So start purging it then.
Right.
I mean, someone like Cap Anson, I mean, they got quotes on this dude, Rogers Hornsby. They got a lot of quotes with a lot of slurs, right? And it's known fact. And they got a shrine. But, like, Kurt Schilling says a couple of questionable things on Twitter, so we can't put him in. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't pull up the character clause moving forward if you don't scrub the past of it.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So, but the problem is Major League Baseball just won't take an official stance on anything.
Right.
Because that's the thing is that, like, you know, so the all-time hit leader and the all-time home run leader, neither of them in the Hall of Fame. One's because Pete Rose with gambling and Barry Bonds because steroids. But so it's just like, you know, that's the problem with this. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, what are we doing? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to recognize these guys or not?
So ultimately, and I'll let you go with this, do you think, as the One Beer In's resident baseball guy, do you think that these guys should be in? What are your feelings on the Hall and how it should be represented? And do you think the A-Rods, the Clemens, the Bonds, the Roses, do you think that they all should be in or not?
I think that Bonds and Clemens should get in because they were Hall of Famers before the steroids thing. A-Rod shouldn't, and as much as it pains me, Manny Ramirez shouldn't. Anyone that did test positive, now you're gone. If you're still doing it after there's tests and you test positive, no. But even though we can know and it can be testified, these guys never tested positive, and it wasn't even illegal in the sport at the time. So a guy who you can, like, I mean, you just got to use your brain, right? Like, you know, Clemens and Bonds are Hall of Famers without it, and you know Sosa isn't. Right. So I feel like guys that you kind of know should be Hall of Famers, should be in. And then, you know, if a guy's like a rapist or a murderer, yeah, you keep him out. But a guy's not a great guy, I don't care. I mean, did he do anything on the field wrong? Like, no. So, like, guys like Pete Rose or Kurt Schillings, they should get in. The only guys that I have a hard stance against, if you tested positive for steroids, then no. It's like it's documented. There's no gray area. You're a cheater. Boom. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand on that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I knew it was going to be good.
Well, no, wait. Now do it in a song.
Yeah.
Now perform the outro song.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you taking the call.
Yes,
we needed
thank
some
you.
context. This helps a lot.
Yeah, you're gonna hate our conversation without you on it.
Yeah.
We sound like two infants.
Yeah, I look forward to the hot takes on that.
We said it was awesome.
Yeah, that's all we had to say about it.
Keep them out of there, man.
Steroid era was awesome.
We did say that, and I know what you know. What I think South would agree that the steroid era was awesome. You know,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's just
Yes.
In hindsight, it's not. But in the
Sure.
moment, it was awesome. It
Yeah.
brought us all back. It's just now in hindsight, you're like, oh, no one will ever break the home run record.
Right.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what kind of hurts it.
Yeah. All right, brother. I'm gonna let you go, but appreciate it, man.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, no problem.
All right, man.
Peace.
Peace. Anyway, as we were meandering into.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hip hop Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of people. I'm sick of having the argument that like that's not a good, or like there is obviously a level of talent that goes into being able to do that.
Of course, we're talking about speed rapping, right?
Speed rapping,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so old and tired and done.
Yeah.
It's been done to death.
I mean, to me, it's the equivalent of like guitar noodling.
Yeah.
Like if you're just shredding up there, but not, writing a catchy song or at least something interesting with it, it's like, okay, that gets boring after a while too.
Yeah.
Like how many Buckethead albums are you going to listen to?
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing.
No offense.
Like the Kid Mero, he retweeted it and he was clowning on it.
Yeah.
But then one of the things that he said was really like resonated with me. He was like, Busta Rhymes been doing this his whole year. Does he get called the GOAT all the time when his fucking clips go viral? No.
Yeah. Well, and everyone was dropping in people who've done speed rapping before.
Well, yeah,
Twista.
Yeah, go through it and you'll see. Yeah, it's just Tech Nine,
Sure.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, Mac Lethal, fucking guys like that who go viral for doing it all the time on
Right.
YouTube and shit. Like it's not. You do it all. I mean, fucking Machine Gun Kelly was for a little bit doing it. Yellow Wolf. It's always fucking white people doing it. And it's just. I'm just. It's so. And I know it's never gonna end.
No.
I know it's never gonna stop.
It's a parlor trick. Like it will never stop being entertaining to people.
Yeah, I stopped doing it because one of the reasons was because it was like, well, this is old and tired. And it's not. I'm not really saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you write a speed rap, you are trying to like say something lyrically. You're trying to like put metaphors together and stuff and say something clever. But at the same time, like you have a dual responsibility when you're doing it, which is try to say something clever, and at the same time, make sure that these syllables still work so that you can keep the flow going and you keep the wordplay going, right?
Yeah.
That sounds difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just continue to. Anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Not anybody. That's
Well, performance-wise, not everybody can do it.
no. Yeah. Performing, that's for sure. That's. But hip hop, in my opinion, rapping, is not about like your lyrical gymnastics live.
Mm-hmm.
That is a part of it.
It's an element, yeah.
But if you're not a person who I just don't. I have never, and I don't see a lot of people other than people who don't really. It's always the people who don't know anything about hip hop. That's my problem. It's never, you never see people who have listened to. Very very rarely you'll see people making this connection, but for the most part, when you see people talking about how Eminem is the GOAT, and he's the GOAT because of that shit and not like the first 3 albums
Sure.
of his career and like everything he did prior to that, it's always people who don't know anything about hip hop, who don't listen to hip hop,
Yeah.
who only listen to him and then tell you and then say shit like, I don't listen to a lot of rap, but fucking Eminem is
Yeah.
crazy. And then it's like, well, this conversation's over.
He actually says some stuff, you know?
Dude, whenever someone says he actually says things, I want to fucking strangle him.
It reeks of like middle-aged mom who thinks of rap and simultaneously thinks bling bling, you know?
Yeah. People who still say bling bling unironically are
Yeah.
people who just shouldn't be able to talk about it.
No.
And and it's either people who don't know shit about hip hop, or, with all due respect, it's always a lot of foreign people. It's a lot of people.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't see this coming.
Let me just say, it's not a lot of foreign people, but I'm saying on Twitter, I see a lot of people who speak in broken English who say Eminem make the good raps.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I see that a lot.
Is that Chef Boyardee?
They're making the good
Make
raps.
it a good raps.
So I won't go further into that. 'cause
Okay. And that's probably
a different
smart,
direction.
yeah.
But I just wish, and I just want to sit these people down and make them listen to, late 90s Twista, make them listen to Tech Nine, make them listen to Busta Rhymes and Bone Thugs and Harmony, and and then once I've sat them in a room and like made them listen to all these other guys, then let them come out of that room and be like, okay, now that you know that he's not doing anything special, now do you want to recalibrate how you feel about this? Because you can make a case that Eminem is one of the greatest rappers of all time based on his first 3 albums.
Yeah.
You can make that case.
Right.
I wouldn't argue with somebody who wanted to say Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, and Eminem Show were enough to put him in the top 10. If Ready to Die and Life After Death are enough to put Biggie Smalls in the top 10, top 5, top 3, then Eminem's first 3 albums are enough to have that argument.
Of course. Yeah.
That's fine. What I will not do is let you talk about his longevity and talk about what he's done post 2005, because that's dog shit. All of it's just dog shit. So that's not to say that it's not debatable. Sure, it's all debatable.
Anything's debatable,
right?
Anything's debatable if you have a dumb enough opinion.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And it's debatable enough if you are able to hold the conversation long enough.
If you have a strong enough conviction and argument that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, then sure, it's worth entertaining. But
I just want you to be able to, if you're going to make a claim about anybody being the greatest of all time, I shouldn't be able to stump you with anybody else.
Well, not only that, but just the use of superlatives like the greatest of all time shouldn't be unlocked if we're talking about, game mechanics here.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have that unlocked until you've done some research.
Right.
I'm not even saying know every single obscure 90s Brooklyn rapper. You don't have to get that region specific and that deep into the genre even. Just know your basics.
Yeah.
Before you start talking about greatest of all time.
If you Google a top 10 list of rappers and you can't tell me at least something about all of them, like if you don't have a cursory knowledge of every rapper in most general top 10 lists, you can't tell me you know enough about Pac, Big, Jay, Nas,
name the Wu-Tang Clan,
Ice Cube, Andre 3000, Black Thought. I guess Kanye West would be in there, although I wouldn't get into the weeds. I don't want to do that. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If I give you a top 10 list and you're stumped by any of them, if I tell you Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Kool Moe Dee, LL Cool J, all those, and you can't really hold your own in that conversation, it's all right, well then go back. No disrespect.
Yeah.
Just go back, do your research, then come back to the table. And then we can have, I'm not saying that you can't argue. I'd love to hear an argument as to why he's better than all those guys.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if your argument is that he raps faster than them, hey man, no. Get out. We're not doing this.
Which is also to say, enjoy whatever you like. We're not here to police what you enjoy.
Speak for yourself.
For myself, I'm totally cool with you liking what you like. The only problem is when you start saying that the thing that you like is better than everything else that's in this genre that we hold very deep.
Yeah.
And, very closely to
this
our hearts.
This is why he's the GOAT.
Right.
It's not.
It is not.
It's not. It's not. Try to see if I can, if I liked it recently enough.
I don't know if we'd be able to play it, would we?
Why not?
I don't know. Somebody will ping us for it.
It's 40 seconds from his fucking TikTok account.
I don't know. I'm forever paranoid.
I know you are. But I've seen people play whole songs. My likes are so fucking stupid. I have Like
Your likes are my likes, honestly.
Yeah, they are. Every time I see one of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Jerry Kramer meme where he had where he got the chicken guy sign.
Yeah.
Every single one of those.
What's going on in there?
This one is really good. One of us is the thing, Jerry. One of us is the thing, Jerry.
You should throw it up on the screen.
So people can see it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it recently enough to talk about it, but or to play it. But you can look it up. You can look up
you can look up anything. The internet's great
right there, dude. You can look into that and see what we're talking about. But I mean, I am just so sick of seeing the conversation that always gets had whenever he gets brought up, which is that like the things that he does, the wizardry. It's just it's done, man. It's tired. It's old. It's not fun. I listened to that fucking clip, and I was like, I've listened to hip hop since I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's saying. And then somebody reposted it, slowed down, and they were like, it's even better slowed down. And I'm listening to what he's saying, and I was like,
lyrical miracle.
Yeah. I know much has been said about the whole lyrical miracle thing and just rhyming syllables, and Eminem is the worst example of it.
He's definitely up there.
He's just what he's. I mean, it's sad watching what has happened to him, and how he's just let. Oh man, it's awful, man. It's awful. Dog, I was listening to, out of morbid curiosity. I'm gonna say something right now, and people are not gonna like this.
Is it about foreigners?
No.
Because I'm gonna have to cut you off.
No. It's about white people.
Okay.
I was listening to, out of morbid curiosity, the latest Limp Bizkit record.
Okay.
And number one, if you like Limp Bizkit,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a bad album.
Okay.
Because it's just the same. He hasn't done anything
New?
No. So it's like, if you were a fan of that guy or that band, I think you're gonna like the record because it's like vintage Limp Bizkit.
Interesting. That actually makes me more interested in it than I thought I would.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like Fred Durst is not a good rapper.
No.
But if you like his shit, he stayed like consistent with what he's done, and like if you're a fan of that shit, I don't see how you don't like the latest record, because it's like, for all intents and purposes, it's not that bad.
It's the same stuff.
Yeah, it's just the same shit.
Okay.
Like, I'll never listen to it again in my entire life. But but when I did listen to it, I was like, well, all right.
Okay.
He's doing what he's done.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is, other than the fast rapping, at this stage of Eminem's career, I don't hear a difference between him and Fred Durst as rappers.
Wow.
And I mean, what I mean by that, everybody calm down, relax, because I'm not done. What I mean by that is the content of what he's saying is as deep as anything that Fred Durst has come up with. Eminem may pretty it up with syllables and, clever ways to flip words, but when it comes to the actual metaphors of what he's rapping about, the actual similes that he's using, they're puddle deep. He's just, I just don't see the guy that everybody else sees when they listen to anything from at least his last 3 records. It's just all it's become a trend, obviously, to hate on him and to do the whole lyrical miracle thing. But when you listen to what he's actually saying, even that's not as good as it used to be.
I have a theory, and it's very shallow, but it's still a theory nonetheless. I think a lot of people thought that 8 Mile was a documentary and really, really took it to heart.
Yeah.
and it really like moved people in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that bleeds into white people experiencing the quote hip hop experience for the first time. And I think with watching that movie, largely they feel like they now have a say in what is good hip hop and not. And I think that's poisoned a lot of people's minds into that carrying over into Eminem is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Did you see that battle he had?
Yeah.
On 8 Mile? Because incredible.
Well, because I mean, I could see that. I could see a lot of people growing up with that and thinking that it was the crowning achievement of hip hop. A movie that successful,
right?
And a movie coming out at a time, a movie like that coming out at a time in a lot of our formative years.
Right. Well, and not to mention the crossover success of it too.
Yeah,
my dad likes "Lose Yourself."
Yeah, I mean it. That was a massive song,
Huge.
And honestly, "Lose Yourself" is probably. It's probably the crest of the wave for Eminem, if you really think about it. It's probably the last truly great Eminem song.
Yeah.
And probably why it's the one that is, it's definitely his most successful, the one that crossed over to everything. I mean, it's, you know, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's probably the quintessential Eminem song. And yet I never think about it when I think about the best Eminem songs. That, I mean, I just never, because it's such a...
He's got to perform around the Super Bowl, right? Like,
there's no way he doesn't.
He's going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we should talk about that a little bit, I guess. I guess it's relevant because he is going to be at the Super Bowl, and a lot of people are like, is he going to do that? Like, is he going to come out there and fucking... Bro, if he walks out and does Rap God, I'll just turn the fucking TV off. And just
mute.
Yeah, I'll just go about. I'll eat some chips and like a quesadilla or something, and like
I'm gonna go get some more wings.
Yeah, I can't stand Rap God. Oh man, and everybody, they always quote that fucking song. You know, he uses the same rhyme scheme from Rap God that he does in that clip that's gone viral recently.
Yeah.
There's a couple of lines that he uses, like it's the same words, and I pick up on this because it's cheating. It's what you do when you're like, I know that this will work. This will keep the flow going. It's almost like I remember like years ago. This is gonna be a deep cut reference, but stick with me, guys. Serious Jones, famous battle rapper. He was Google Serious Jones. He was incredible. Should have been the next guy. His career just kind of stalled.
Like all the battle rappers.
Yeah,
we talked about it before.
Yeah, pretty much. He suffered the same fate. But he was battling some guy. I forgot who he was battling. But the guy who he was battling, I mean, he was coming off the top of his head, so he was using. When you're freestyling, you need sometimes you need like anchor words to kind of like get you to the next bar, or something to kind of like continue to rap while simultaneously thinking of the next line. So you need kind of like a thing to get you there.
Yeah.
And people use like easy words or stuff that they know is going to work, or lines that they already have thought of or written down that they can use. You throw 2 bars out there, and while you're rapping those 2 bars, you've got the next 2 bars locked and loaded. Freestyling is incredible, and it's always come very hard for me because my memory is shit. And so I'm always impressed with people who can freestyle. At the same time, if that's all you can do, there's a limit to that also.
Yeah. Well, I think going back to what you were just talking about as far as that technique, it's, if you're not familiar, it's just like the old school rappers. Whenever you hear like somebody who's freestyling that doesn't know what they're doing, what do they always default to?
My name is Bum, and I'm
here to say. Right, because say is a very easily rhymable word. You can say day, way, ray, bay. There's so many things that you can do with it. So that's a cop-out for you to be able to easily fold that into something else and keep it while you're thinking.
Well, and especially using that format, you've already got like half the words my name is boom, and I'm here to say that's a full bar that all you had to come up with was your own name.
Right.
And then you could just say I rhyme this way every day. And that's like that's a full fucking that's 2 bars right there that you only had to think of like 3 words for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, he's battling this guy, and the guy keeps saying thoughts connect, words connect, blah, blah, blah. And he's using that, and it's a clever thing, but like if you overuse it, people start to pick up on it. And Sirius Jones picked up on it, and he fucking flipped that line, and I mean, just annihilated him by like flipping that thing on its head. And he was like, this motherfucker used words, thoughts connect like 50 million times, and everybody fucking went crazy. It was amazing. It was a great moment in the battle.
You defeated me.
It was such a good thing to improvise off the top of his head. And I always think about that when I overuse words, that like people will pick up on that. And I've listened to other songwriters, not people who write rap music, but like songwriters, like just period, in all different genres.
Yeah. And
I didn't realize how important it was to them too to not overuse words. And to me, I always thought that you're just trying to get a thought across, right? And you're just trying to get a feeling across, or whatever you're trying to say, you're just trying to get that across in the most potent way possible. Whether you want to use the most amount of words or whether you want to use the least amount of words, you're just trying to get that thought across, right? And I forgot who I think it might have been Elvis Costello or somebody I was watching. They were talking about the essentialness of each word that you're using. I think they talk about it a little bit in the Beatles doc. It just the how important it is to like use the right words. Like, oh, we already said that in the bridge.
Right.
Are we going to say it again? Are we going to use that same word again in the verse? We've already said that word. You only have a very limited amount of space, and you're going to use the same words.
Right.
Especially rock songs and R&B songs. Rap songs are 16. That's a lot of words that you can use. You can repeat words and people won't really notice, right?
Text heavy.
Very heavy.
Yeah.
But like rock songs and R&B songs, you got like 8 bars, sometimes 4 bars. It's like you have to be really specific with the words that you
sometimes
use.
Dominated by the chorus too. So.
Exactly. So if you're going to do that, if 40 to 50, if a minute of a song is this melody that you're already repeating the melody, now you're going to repeat words too. All that to get us back to Eminem, which is like you're going to repeat the same words in this whole I'm super lyrical. It's cheating, man. And it's cheap, and it's like it's not impressive. If you're a guy who delves into the shit like I just did. Yeah. You fall back on
You see the tricks going on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like watching a magician as a magician, and you see what he's done, and you're like,
I know how
you could have done that better.
Yeah,
I know how to do that trick, and you should have done it this way so that the audience wouldn't be up. That's like the best metaphor that I can. It's like a magician watching a magician.
There you go.
And it's not impressive.
The magic's gone.
It's all gone.
Well,
all right. I'm glad I could get that off my chest because it's been weighing on me. And
it felt like you needed to, and I'm frankly here for it. So
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Every time he goes viral for something, anytime somebody brings him up, anytime one of these hip hop Twitter accounts talks about him, I get angry. I get angry because
take it very personally.
I do, because it always comes from a place of people who don't really listen to music.
Sure, but they're claiming that they do.
Yeah. So you know the guys get ignored all the time, or guys get overvalued for doing things that aren't that impressive. They're only impressive on the surface. You know, it's like in basketball, if you're an analytics heavy person, you're going to look at the numbers and go like, this person is better than this person. But, you know, it depends on how you value things. Like if you're looking at music and you're saying like, what's more valuable, how good he is per 16 bars or how good he could put together an album. The way that I look at that is like, how good is that player individually versus how many rings do they have? What did they bring to their team? How many championships have they won? Right.
Russell
Westbrook, I think, is an incredible player, albeit not this season. He's not having a great season.
Yeah.
I watch some of his highlights, and I'm like,
What's going on?
But individually, a guy who has averaged a triple-double for 3 seasons, won the MVP, has gone to the NBA Finals, you can't discount how good of a player he is.
Right.
Has he ever made a classic album? No. You gotta bring your team to the championship, man. You gotta bring them to the promised land before you can claim classics.
Sure.
Eminem has classics. Well, debatable, but I would say Marshall Mathers LP is a classic.
You gotta give him at least that one. Yeah.
I think you have to. I think he's gone to the promised land once, maybe twice. I'd say Eminem Show.
I was gonna say if from a commercial standpoint, I think Eminem Show is an outlier. I think you gotta give that one a nod too.
Yeah.
So
I can give him that. I'll give him that.
yeah.
I like Eminem Show. I like Eminem Show a lot. I wouldn't say better than Marshall Mathers, but I do like Eminem Show a lot. I could give him both of those. He's got 2 under his belt. Out of what, 9 albums, 10 albums?
Yeah, a lot.
You know, it's like,
In counting.
yeah. Please God, no more. So yeah, the fucking halftime show is gonna be filled with.
It's gonna be a hoot. A hoot and a holler.
Well, it's going to be fucking Dr. Dre goes out there and he's just like, it's the next episode. And he's going to be rapping all slow. Kendrick's going to go out there and be all weird and shit bouncing around the stage. And then Eminem's going to come out and skibbity bop. And you're just like.
And then Mary J. Blige is just going to.
She's going to. Let's get it. It's going to be a crazy halftime show, man.
It's a strange mix. That's all I'm going to say. It's a very strange mix of people. And a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like top tier artists that are out there.
Man, it's
I don't know what to expect.
Shout out to Jay-Z, man.
Yeah.
For doing this to us. I don't know. But all right. I think we spent enough time on that. Should we still I said it at the top of the show, so we
have to talk.
Damn it. Listen. We'll dip down, but then we got the cheers of the week, and we'll go right back up. All right. All right.
Wait. Can we get another beer though? Because I don't want to finish this one because I want to be able to talk to it at the end. But I'm getting parched talking about this already. So I know the next topic is just going to be.
So you want to hold on to this little bit so that we can revisit
have a final taste and then review.
All right. I can deal with that.
Okay.
I'll grab.
Thank you.
What do you want me to grab?
Just get the
Yes.
The Kolsch's. Yeah, get the Kolsch's. Grab the Kolsch's.
Grab the Kolsch's.
The theme is purple.
Ugh, all right.
Thank you so much.
Back again. Fuck, I should have put timestamps. I'm gonna have to go through the whole thing, man.
Oh no.
It's
All
gonna
right.
take a second. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, it's fine. So, we've already done the crude Kolsch, but if you haven't had it yet, you need to.
Yeah.
It's the crude Kolsch from Red Light. I mean, it's just a solid drinker. You know what I mean? It's just one of those like easygoing, chill.
Yeah.
Good boys.
It's a crispy boy.
Mm-hmm.
Clocked in only at 4.8%, so doesn't leave you feeling funky, but it's nice. It's nice. Any hooser.
Mm-hmm.
As we were alluding to, we have one more topic.
Yes.
But it's a hefty boy, so hefty.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Do you have a? Can you pull up like the?
I can pull it up. Only if you call me Jamie.
Jamie, can you pull that up?
Joe Rogan.
The boy Joe Rogan has. We haven't really talked about if you've what
The Rolling Stone headline is Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson wax idiotic on climate change and what it means to be black. I never heard the term wax idiotic.
Wax idiotic.
So
that's good.
That's a new one for me. But
The thing is about Joe Rogan is, I guess we're about to wade into some waters here. Are you ready for this?
I sure hope so.
I guess we should let's just get this out of the way,
Okay.
because if anyone is so inclined, they could go back through the history of this show and know that we did used to cite Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan experience as it's very important to
Influential.
to this podcast.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's you can't make any bones about that.
No.
That's just the truth of the matter.
Oh yeah, he's one of the first big names in podcasting.
Yeah.
And is still the biggest name in podcasting.
Right.
So it's hard to do this gig without, having some influence.
It's hard to say, it's hard to admit to yourself, like, you can't, if you've made a podcast in the last couple of years, it's hard for you to say, especially if it's like a comedy show or an entertainment show,
Sure.
to be like, I've never listened to a single minute of Joe Rogan. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Maybe now in the last like 2 years, 2 or 3 years, because he's become whatever he is now.
Right.
But if you have a show that's as long as this show's been going on, I don't believe you. There's no way you can sit here and tell me that you didn't listen to Rogan
Yeah.
and pull some stuff from him.
Especially
Anyway,
a long format show.
yes. If it's not like, some kind of theme or something, if it's just like a show like this, there's no way you can tell me you weren't listening to Rogan.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, I haven't listened to like the past at least, I don't know, 200 episodes
Okay.
in full.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've gotten to a weird place with old Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
He signs the Spotify deal, and then it seems like, coinciding with the deal and the pandemic, something kind of changes.
It was the move to Austin. That's what it was.
You think that's what it was?
Maybe.
Maybe it was the move to Austin. He got out of Hollywood and he started taking on this
It seemed like it started around that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't when he moved necessarily, but it was just before that, when I think there was a lot of animosity building in California.
Well, it was building partly because of the whole cancel culture thing was going on.
Sure.
The Me Too movement was going on. And also, it just was getting weird. The actors, Hollywood, they just do weird shit. And then you get the pandemic happening.
Yeah, on top of it.
And they do even weirder shit, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, Gal Gadot. And
I forgot all about that.
so,
imagine all the people.
she even admitted that it was like,
It was bad.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So you get all of that stuff kind of coalescing, and then and just I don't know. Not to say that there wasn't. He has definitely said like weird, borderline problematic stuff throughout his entire career, and especially on the podcast. It's just hours and hours of content that it's hard not to at a point say something. I mean, I've probably said,
We both definitely said some stuff on the show.
Well,
before,
I just mean like on this episode today.
Yeah, no, you definitely did.
Well, I gave context for whatever.
We evolve on the show though, and that we've been very open about that, and done our best to not be harmful generally to people, and
you try not to be.
I think it was, as far as Joe Rogan is concerned, was far easier in the past for him to do his "oh shucks, I'm just an idiot," kind of routine, and fall back on, well, I'm just a comedian, I'm just an idiot, so what do I know? I don't know. Why do people listen to me? They shouldn't listen to me.
Yeah.
Like, that was an excuse as of like 2 years ago, as recently as 2 years ago.
He could use that excuse because he didn't have the global influence that he has.
Right. But my point is, now it's like you can't use that excuse anymore. And
right.
I found that he stopped using that excuse because I think he knows. I think he knows he can't fall back on ignorance and just saying, well, oh, shucks, I'm an idiot. Why are you listening to me? He's not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's calculated. I think he knows. I think he's aware of that.
Yeah.
The fact that he has this, like, undeniable platform at this point. He's at the pinnacle of podcasting.
Yeah.
So there is no excuse for any of that ignorance, especially when he's only allowing people who he agrees with to have an open forum, and the people he doesn't seem to get more pushback from it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always, and I don't know if I've said this on the show before. I'm pretty sure I did bring it up like a long time ago. When the first time that he had Ben Shapiro on his show, I was disappointed in, like, there were times where Ben Shapiro would say something, and I knew, having been a fan of Joe Rogan's for a long time, that he didn't agree with what Ben was saying. But because Ben was his friend, he wouldn't push back on it. Mm-hmm. And I was disappointed. And I remember that being a moment, this very pivotal moment in, like, my fandom of Rogan, and me going, have I misplaced my... Because, like, I felt how a lot of people feel now, that he was a guy who was open-minded, and he was a guy who was, like, you know, if you can give him a compelling argument, he would change his stance on things, and so on and so forth. This was years ago when I thought this. And then, you know, you like, I guess the veil starts to lift. Yeah. And you're just like, man, he's not that guy. Yeah. He's not the dude that is open-minded and, you know, sees things from every side. He is a guy who, just like everyone else, has an agenda and, you know, has his beliefs, and, you know, try as he might to be the guy who is like this you know, open forum for discussion. His biases will come out in these conversations. Yeah. You know, and how he treats this person versus that person. Yeah. This latest controversy being a very prime example. Mm-hmm. Do you think in any fucking universe, if Joe Rogan was talking to an actual African American, that he would question what it meant to be black in any instance? Do you think in any universe, if he actually had Michael Eric Dyson on his show, that he would question his blackness to his face? There's no fucking possibility, no universe,
he felt
variant of Joe Rogan.
He felt very comfortable in front of bow-tied Ben Shapiro. No, not Ben Shapiro. Yeah. Jordan Peterson. Excuse me. Yes, he felt very, very comfortable
to question Michael Eric Dyson's blackness.
See, but he will. I guarantee, he will push back and say, well, I was speaking only of literal colors.
Right, the physiology of being black, not weird. Actual...
It's weird that we call people white and people black because, you know, I'm not white. You know, I am a little...
I'm tannish.
I'm beige. It's like, you understand that black is a culture.
He understands that.
Of course.
He understands that.
Of course, you have to be a 5-year-old to not understand that concept, right? Yeah. But, you know, it seems like this entire thing, especially this interview, it seems. I haven't listened to the entire thing because it seems like a chore. Yeah. But it seems like a lot of this sort of high-thinking, like, big idea kind of interview is based all in, like, just making very simple things sound impossible to answer. Right. Or like these incredible concepts that nobody's thought of before. Oh, why do we call this person black when they're actually brown?
Yeah. Like, Doug, if you listen to Joe...
blow my mind.
If you listen to Jordan Peterson talk about that shit and you're like, he makes a good point. It's like, Doug, shut the fuck up.
Think more. Think more.
Just a little bit
think
more.
A little harder for a second.
There is nothing intelligent about Jordan Peterson sitting across from Joe Rogan going... And, you know, he's actually not black. He's kind of brown. He's like, you know, he's like, what? There's nothing intelligent about that take.
Well, and the thing that kind of, you know, not kind of even, the thing that really made Joe throw himself under the bus was he moves away from it being just a topic of literal color, like literal, like I'm beige and you're brown, to, well, I'm Italian, so...
Right. Nobody told him to bring that part up.
Yeah.
So it's you do understand ethnicity and culture, and you understand that.
And then, well, you shouldn't really call anyone black unless they're from, like, the darkest recesses of Africa.
They gotta be from a fucking
where
cave.
They're not wearing any clothes.
At the bottom of they've gotta be fucking
and they've
backwoods.
They're only so black because they've evolved to be that black. That's the only time
That's the only reason you can call them black, because those blackety black people are black. Otherwise, there's room for debate.
You're actually brown.
You're brown.
Actually, you're a brown American.
You're different shades. It like, this is the kind of stuff that you can people try to make these arguments for him that he's, it's a long form conversation, and things like this are going to be said, and you got to give him room to kind of, he always kind of comes back and corrects what he said, and you always see his fans are always like, did you listen to the whole episode? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, do I need to listen to 3 hours of him and Jordan Peterson talking about lobsters and nonsense to get the part where he questions Michael Eric Dyson's blackness for 5 minutes,
right,
and then they move on to the next thing? Do I need to listen to his entire... Do I need to go through and listen to 1,500 episodes of podcasts so that I know Joe Rogan as a person, so that I can make a judgment call as to what he meant in that moment?
The game gets way better after hour 15. You just have to get to that point, and then it opens up, and it's incredible.
Man,
it's great. It's
completely
really good.
Different.
Yeah.
People who listen to him every day will tell you that they know that that's not how he meant it.
Sure.
Because they think
they know him.
And they don't.
Right.
You don't know him. And I don't know him. You think you do, but you don't. You don't know this person.
That's one of the fallacies in logic when it comes to podcasting, and I'd hate to break through the veil right now. We love you guys. We really do. We appreciate every single one of you, but you don't really know us as people.
We I mean, to kind of break the fourth wall in this, I mean, there's a lot of bits that we'll do on this show where either we're like, poking the bear, playing devil's advocate, being an outside version of ourselves, hiding emotions,
or amping things up.
So that it's a more entertaining show. To think that because you've listened to 300 episodes of this show, thank you.
Thank you, yes.
And to think that you know us personally, know our fears and our goals and what makes us happy and what makes us sad and all, and how we feel about each individual thing. I mean, there's only a finite amount of time that we can even delve into this, for instance. We could sit here and talk about this for another 6 hours and still not get to the heart of it. So for you to think that and you can defend and speak for Joe Rogan of all people because you've watched him on the UFC and you've watched his stand-up and you listen to his podcast, it's just it's delusional.
Which, mind you, we have too.
We've done
all of those things.
Yeah, so it's not as if like unless you have spent time with this man and his family and you've listened to like deep personal you've had deep personal conversations with him, you and I are on the same level. I watch the UFC every week or every month.
I'm going to go out on a limb here too and say, even if that's the case, even if you're Joe Rogan's best friend in real life, doesn't matter. Because the message he's putting out there is this.
Right.
So even if it's a misinterpreted message, that's the message he's putting out there. That is what part, sure, it's a small section of a much larger conversation, but like that is still out there. That is still a clip of him actually saying these words, actually having these feelings. And that's not refutable.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the argument is here. Like, he said those things. Maybe he meant something differently. Maybe he misspoke. But that's out there. And I haven't seen any retraction. I haven't seen any, conversation about him saying, oh, I didn't mean it that way. Like, I understand the nuances of culture and ethnicity and, prejudice and everything that goes along with blackness.
No, well, and that's, okay, so to play devil's advocate in this situation, as two guys who have listened to Joe Rogan a lot, he obviously, you can tell that what he was trying to say, or what he meant by what he was saying, was the physiological state of actual
the color
skin
black.
tone.
Right.
Yes. That's obvious. It doesn't take a genius to get there. It doesn't take a person who's listened to thousands of hours of his voice to get to that point. It's obvious that that's what he was saying. That's not the problem.
No.
The problem is the context in which he is bringing this stuff up is Michael Eric Dyson was criticizing Jordan Peterson, and he called him an angry white man. And Joe Rogan's response is, well, what is black?
You're not even white.
Yeah. He's like, you're not even angry. That's the crazy thing. It's like, you're not even angry. And then Jordan Peterson's like, and I'm not actually that white. I'm kind of, I've got color and blah, blah. And Rogan then is like, yeah, and you're not even like, I'm Italian, and like, it's like, I don't even, and it just goes off into this place where like,
let's turn this into the worst section that it could possibly turn into.
Seriously. And I don't get how people can listen to that and be like, yep, this is the dude that I need to place all of my faith into. 3 hours I'm going to dedicate to this guy day in and day out. That's the dude spewing that.
This is your king.
Even if you weren't offended by what he was saying, your intelligence should be insulted by listening to this, just them sit there and fucking volley that ball back and forth.
The main problem for me is that I love to torture myself. So I look at the comment section. I always do. And literally all of Joe Rogan's posts are just people fawning over him. And saying, "Oh, you are my baby. You are king."
Dude.
Like, not literally those words, but the gist.
Close.
Yeah. Just saying, thank you so much for standing up for, truth. Unlike CNN, and like all, which, mind you, quick aside, the whole CNN Sanjay Gupta thing was messed up. Mm-hmm. It was messed up what they did to him, saying that it was the horse dewormer medicine.
Yeah,
saying that it's only for horse deworming when it's actually a medication that can be prescribed to human beings, and saying that he was taking horse dewormer.
Nobody's defending CNN on this podcast.
No. That was clearly wrong, and we say so. So we're not delusional to that end. But same thing, though, like on the other end of things with the entire fan base, it just seems like completely blind to the fact that he calls himself a moron at all times. I think they see it as, like, endearing, and just go, oh, well, he's just being modest.
Yeah.
He's actually the one source of truth in this world.
Well, they see him as the everyman who is doing what they tell themselves that they're doing, which is their own independent research.
My own research, right.
And
they are Aaron Rodgers.
They're looking at the truth of the matter instead of what is being fed to them by MSNBC and CNN.
By the mainstream media.
And because Joe Rogan looks at all these other sources that, mind you, the rest of us can look at, all of a sudden he is like this superior, like he's doing more than what you're doing, and he's going to get to the truth of the matter.
Right.
Even though he just pulls the shit up live. There was that fucking clip that went viral about him and the guy arguing about...
just before this controversy.
Yeah, just before this, he had another one
where
the guy was like... Joe was saying that... teens and children are more susceptible to myocarditis. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, myocarditis.
because of the vaccine, and the guy was like, "That's not true."
Yeah.
And Rogan
No,
was
it
just
is.
like, "Yeah, no, it's I read it," and the guy was like, "I'm telling you, that's not the case." And he
Yeah.
was like, "Let me pull this," and he pulls it up, and it's not true.
Yeah, we were talking about kids. We're talking about children.
Yeah, and he does everything in his power
He goes,
to
no,
try to like.
look, it says, you know.
And he's
from-
just wrong at every
Yeah.
fucking point. He's just wrong, wrong, wrong. And then Rogan posts on Twitter like later on after the video is posted, after he goes viral and after people are criticizing him, and he's like, "Hey man, I get it. You know, I looked a little silly here because you know, I was stuck on a thing and like I couldn't get over it, but this is why I was stuck on that thing." And he posts the article that he read that led him to believe what he believed. Some people would look at that as transparency.
Right.
The problem is there's no retraction, there's no apology. There's just this is why I felt the way that I felt.
Here's the incorrect information that I was fed.
Exactly.
And so
I'm
that's
not giving
why.
you the correct information. I am
Right.
showing you why I felt differently. I'm not apologizing for being wrong even though I was proven wrong live.
Yeah.
I'm showing you why I felt the way that I felt. And then goes on to later on his Twitter page retweet and like posts continuing to prove, not prove,
Right.
but to show what the wrong information that he already was, it was already proven wrong.
Yeah,
And he's retweeting.
Well,
and,
what's your source?
And he's-
Because
right.
I only trust my own sources.
So he's going through and he's retweeting and he's quote tweeting all of the things, and he's already admitted to being wrong, but he's pulling these things up and saying like I mean, was I wrong though? Really though?
Right,
Like, was
right.
I wrong? And it's just like, you guys are like blinded by the fact that like he'll do something like that to make it seem like he's being transparent.
Yeah.
And he's you know, he's seeing the argument from both sides.
He's open to new ideas.
But he's not.
Right.
He's not actually.
Yeah.
He had it in his head that that's what happens with vaccines, and he didn't let it go. He just didn't want to like stonewall the episode
Yeah.
by continuing to just harp on that
Yeah.
one thing. But like he felt a way and he didn't change his mind.
No.
And that's part of like that's part of it, but that's one of the biggest things is like Joe Rogan is not this patron saint of
Free speech and
Yeah.
open-mindedness, and that's what he tries to promote, but he's really not.
we are gonna get our asses kicked for this episode, dude.
My butt
Oh my
butt
God.
is literally tingling
We're gonna get
from how much
we are gonna get beat up.
it's getting ate up right now.
Yeah. That's
mean,
that's fine. Whatever.
We're speaking our truth, okay?
yeah.
that-
Feel how you feel
Feel
about
how
it.
you want to feel about it. You know, leave a comment if you feel so inclined.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk it out, especially if you're a fan. You know, we have our opinion. We respect yours, but it's just like I genuinely don't understand how someone cannot see Joe Rogan as a highly fallible source at the very least,
Yeah.
at the very kindest.
And if you, I don't see how you can't listen to this. Oh, well, okay. Let me backtrack. I could see how if you're not a person of color, and especially if you're not a black person, how you could watch this clip and try to, you know, cut through the back streets
Sure.
and get to a place where you can see where he's coming from. But the rest of us can see the forest from the trees on
Yeah.
this one. And it's not that hard, man.
No,
There's not a lot of forest, not a lot of trees.
no.
It's just pretty fucking clear as day. It's an open field on this one.
Yeah.
I just don't know how. I don't see how there's not a retraction coming or some kind of apology or some kind of clarification. I just don't. I don't know how you don't. Because like I said at the top of this bit, and this is kind of where we can just kind of end it. Joe Rogan would never, ever question a black man's blackness to his face.
Yeah.
And that's just it. That's the end of the conversation. He wouldn't do that. As you shouldn't. Because how fucking dare you? As a white man, as an Italian, how fucking dare you?
He's beige. He's a little brown.
He's a little brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like one of the prevailing comments that I saw from other people reposting it was these two are the last human beings on the planet Earth who should be having this conversation. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. You
don't get to question someone's blackness as a white person.
You're clearly pro cancel culture.
I don't want him canceled. I want him to have Michael Eric Dyson on the show.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
And I want to see him do this bullshit with him sitting across from him. That's what I want to see. Well, you think it's silly that Michael Eric Dyson had anything to say about Jordan Peterson, your best friend? You think that's silly that he has any... You don't... First of all, they don't even... I'm not going to... I don't know if they actually went into the content of what Michael Eric Dyson was talking about when he mentioned Jordan Peterson's. I don't know that because I didn't listen to the full episode. So if they do...
I will say I do plan on actually listening to this one just because of all the controversy around it.
So if there is a point in which they actually parse out what he was talking about when he mentioned Jordan Peterson, that's a different conversation. But that's not what they talked about in this clip. They didn't talk about the content of what Michael Eric Dyson was saying. They, for some reason, got fucking hung up on
semantics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to bring Michael Eric Dyson on to talk about why he said whatever he said about Jordan Peterson, that's fine. But there is a moment in the 3-hour conversation that you have with Michael Eric Dyson where you have to confront this bullshit.
Yeah.
And you have to talk about the fact that for some reason you spent 5 minutes talking about if Michael Eric Dyson is even black enough to talk about being black. So...
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, to cap my end off on this one, I feel like there's no winning other than what you just said, which he's not going to do. Mm-hmm. Because if people start saying, well, Joe Rogan should be silenced, he should be, quote, canceled for this, he's just a martyr.
Yeah.
And people are just going to, stand up for the same things happened. We didn't even touch on this, but the whole thing with Neil Young.
Oh, yeah.
Up in arms against his music being on Spotify because Joe Rogan is, said some highly incorrect things about coronavirus and vaccines. So
I don't think, just to butt in for 2 seconds, I don't think on this show, we're not talking about like canceling Joe Rogan or like killing his show. Like that's never been the agenda of this show.
No,
that's not. Yeah. So get that out of here. We have no interest in seeing him being deplatformed and fucking people taking the show. I'd rather him continue to spew this. Okay, let me rephrase
go that far.
I wouldn't say I'd rather him continue to say what he's saying, but I would rather him be able to do that and other people be able to criticize him for that. It's just his platform is way larger than a lot of other people's who criticize him. That's a different conversation. But we're not talking about deplatforming Joe Rogan.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's not really a winning situation here for the truth because his defenders will defend him until death.
Yeah.
And he's not going to have Michael Eric Dyson on to have an honest conversation about it. And if he does, I sit here corrected. But
I'd love to see it.
I would too. So we'll see if that happens, but I doubt it. Because it seems like at this stage of his career, he's unwilling to budge from his viewpoints, which is, antithetical to what Joe Rogan is supposed to stand up for. And I don't see how more of you people don't see that and feel completely like, abandoned by him.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's very clear that he's abandoned his own crusade, really.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't see it because they tend to agree with his viewpoint of the world or are willing to be persuaded into his viewpoint because, he's the big daddy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe think for yourselves a little bit like you claim to. And, I don't know, look at different perspectives of things.
Yeah. I mean, we're not telling you guys to not like to stop watching this show. I think all we're really saying is like, there's other podcasts, there's other sources, take that. If he's part of the rotation of, sources, but fine.
Sure.
Just don't let that be the only source. If you ever start the conversation with, well, on Joe Rogan, or, well, Joe Rogan says, it's like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He's
a comedian,
He's a comedian. He's a moron by his own admission.
Yeah.
He's a moron. Doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yep.
And it's people like you who've made it so that he has 20 million listeners or downloads a week.
Hope you're happy.
Can you imagine? He would never say that shit to fucking Dave Chappelle. He wouldn't have his homeboy Chappelle on and then be like,
"Are you
how
really
black
black?
Are you really?" Let's talk about that. No. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so I think we got it, right?
Almost. Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, you know what we have to do, kids? We have to give our cheers of the week. So, Obi, if you would, please do us the honor and giving us your cheers of the week.
Certainly. My cheers of the week is the Netflix series Cobra Kai. Cheers. Mm-hmm. So there's been much said about Cobra Kai already. In this world of remakes and revisits and soft reboots and all of that stuff. Cobra Kai stands apart, I feel. It's an impossible show, really. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't exist. It's an aberration in this timeline. I feel like it's this variant that should be cleansed from our timeline because it's just too good for what we deserve based on just what we've been going through recently.
Yeah.
But it's so strange. It does the recent but also very rare feat of making its source material better with this sort of far-flung sequel in a way. So if you don't know, Cobra Kai is a way later sequel to the Karate Kid series, the original Karate Kid series, where we're following Joey Lawrence and the villain of the original Karate Kid series. Mm-hmm. And it is this melodramatic, super cheesy, very, very fun high school drama, really, at the end of the day. But there's so much to love in it, and it pays so much respect and honor to its source material that you wouldn't expect it deserves, because it's the Karate Kid,
right? And
who really cares? But if you go back, the original, especially the original Karate Kid, was a really good movie.
Yeah.
The subsequent sequels, not as much, but it's funny how much reverence there is paid to those with this entire Cobra Kai series. It makes those so much better in hindsight. And they bring back characters. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but they bring back characters. They flesh them out more. It's well thought out. There's a little bit of something for everyone involved. Again, it's very cheesy, so you kind of have to get acquainted with that sort of schmaltzy melodrama.
Yeah.
But once you're attuned to it, it flies by. Mm-hmm. So as someone who is pretty jaded as far as TV and movies go, I allowed myself to enjoy it, and I think you should too. And
don't forget, it is the little show that could.
Yeah.
Because it started off as a YouTube original. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, when it came out, people were watching it on YouTube and going, yo, this show is way better than it deserves to be. It's a YouTube show about some 80s movie where you take the perspective of the villain and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why is this show so well written? Why is it so well acted? Why is it so, like, fucking creative? Like, what is the... Where does all this power come from?
It feels like a perfect storm kind of project.
For sure.
Because everyone involved, like, all the actors they got to come back, like, all still bring it. Like, they're all still, like, in shape and, like, up for doing this role.
Yeah.
And, like, it works out so well.
It's a real love for the source material.
Yeah.
It's a genuine love and a passion for continuing the story and not just trying to, like, bank on it.
Yeah.
But, like, making a fucking cohesive story out of it.
Yeah. And a lesson as far as, like, this only works if you have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Because if you were to, if a studio were to try to pull a story out of, I don't know, just remaking The Karate Kid, it wouldn't have been nearly as good. As somebody who had a clear joy and love for The Karate Kid and thinking about it in a really interesting way and going, what if we follow the villain of The Karate Kid, you know, how many years later?
Yeah.
And see where that guy ended up. And suddenly, like, try to flesh his character out to make him this character that we grow to love.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And I wish more franchises would do that.
Yeah, doing a real what if and not just a, you know, Biff becomes a terrorist or like some like crazy thing that has no bearing in the universe, in the rules of the universe that's already set. If you take all of those things that you already know about the character and then try to flesh them out in a real way, you could get a genuine story out of that. The problem is every time you try to do these what if things, people try to go in this really weird, you know, outlandish direction, and it's like, well, like, base it in what we already know about these people.
Yeah.
The villain of Karate Kid, you can see that there, even in the first movie, there are redeeming qualities.
Sure.
Like, you can see that there are glints of, like, you know, you know, there's remorse. There's, like, real, there's things there that, like, you can play off of.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's why it makes sense.
He's ultimately victimized, not to spoil the Karate Kid, he's ultimately victimized by a sensei. So it's like, there's levels to it, you know, like
Did you say not to spoil the Karate Kid?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, if I'm sure there are plenty of people who are listening who maybe not, maybe didn't grow up watching the Karate Kid like I did. So if you know you're of a certain age and haven't caught the Karate Kid yet, definitely go check it out. The first one's incredible. The rest, not so much, but. You know, could be fun to revisit all of them.
Spoiler alert for the Karate Kid.
Sorry. It's an old movie, but, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, spoiler alert for the Bible. Spoiler alert for The Godfather.
Jesus comes back.
Things happen. People die. My cheers of the week is going to a little known content creator. Oh, no. We almost made it. It was too much.
Too close to the sun.
Too close. Too close.
All right. Well,
the rest of this is just going to have to be
audio only.
Camera died. Audio only.
Okay.
Cheers. A little known content creator called HBO.
Home box office, you say?
Home box office. They're starting to really ramp up their original content. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of crushing it. Our cheers last week, your cheers was Peacemaker, which is an HBO original, HBO Max original show. Yep. And a lot of their stuff is really, really starting to ramp up. People talk about Euphoria every week.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
And I have found myself, I used to, when you do the rotation of streaming services, you start with Netflix, you hit Hulu maybe, you might go Amazon Prime, maybe. Sure. Sometimes they have weird movies on there.
Well, a lot of people get it just through their Prime account.
Yeah. Most people, if you have Prime, you already... Well, not most people. If you have Prime, you have Prime streaming. Yeah. I don't know how many people dedicate their time to going on Amazon and looking at the movies. You would be surprised at how many good movies are actually on there. Yeah. But neither here nor there. I think most people do the Netflix, Hulu... Then they might do Disney Plus. HBO Max is in that rotation now. I have found myself starting with HBO and then moving towards the rest of them afterward. Okay. Because of the sheer amount of... We've talked about HBO is like for some reason getting their hands on like the best.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
And
no Shudder for you?
Well, I don't have Shudder. If I had Shudder, I mean Shudder would be in the rotation.
Yeah. Wait, brief aside. After my controversial discussion about canceling Shudder, I found out I paid for 6 months of Shudder.
Oh,
so I've got it for a little while.
There you go.
So it solved itself, folks.
Yeah, see,
I'm happy. It
solved itself.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
The other day, I'm sitting around and me and Paris are watching. We're trying to figure out what to watch, and what do we find ourselves doing but going through all of the fucking Harry Potter movies?
Okay.
Why is all 7 Harry Potter movies on HBO?
WB.
And
that's why.
and it's hard to argue with. It's hard to argue with a streaming service that has Netflix will give you like part 2, maybe part 3 of a movie.
Sure.
And you're like, dog, I just want to watch the first one. Why do you have the worst movie in the series?
You'll get Lethal Weapon 4.
But you won't get 1 through 3.
No.
And, I mean, there's much to be said for being able to just sit through and watch all 7 movies, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, maybe a long time ago. Not a huge Harry Potter fan. Didn't really care for the series. Read some of the books.
You historically aren't much into fantasy, right?
No. No. I don't do the... I mean, wizards and witches and dragons and it doesn't really... I watched Game of Thrones. Thought it was a good show,
right.
but I think...
That was a shift from the norm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
You got into it late because you weren't into that genre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So...
But now you're watching Witcher and...
I watched Witcher and it's really good and all this to say maybe I was fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I was wrong and dragons and fucking knights and all this corny shit is dope shit and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm man enough to admit that.
Okay.
So, HBO is one of those like content kings. They're just going to continue to pump shit out and I hate to big up a corporation,
right? Yeah.
But it's just like what do you want me to do?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Forget about it.
Forget about it. All right. Seeing as you can't see us anymore, we don't really even have to be like playing to the camera. Although it's a natural reaction.
Yeah, we are. Just so you know.
Let's review these brewskis and get out of here so
right.
people don't have to continue staring at the same old image.
It's a picture of a puppy dog. You're going to put
a
picture of a puppy dog.
Well, I usually put the camera died image, but I can put a dog.
Okay, yeah, do that.
All right, I'll put it.
Can you put a dog on the outside? It says, the camera died. Here's a dog.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry to give you more work, but I feel like it's,
Nah, it'll take me a couple seconds to make
pay
that
off,
image. I got to find a cute dog and then put the camera died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tonight's brew was from Spencer, which is a Trappist brewery and the only American Trappist brewery. And this was their Monk's Reserve Ale. It is their Quadrupel. And Obi, what did you think?
That's a strong boy right there.
It's not weak.
No. I mean, this was quite good. I was expecting it to actually be a bit harsher on the tongue, given that it's a quadruple. I was expecting it to be a bit more boozy,
right?
As some of these higher ABV brewskis can be. I did, I definitely tasted the flavor of the alcohol in it, but it didn't hit me in the nose, didn't hit me in the back of the throat, none of that stuff. Mm-hmm. It was strangely smooth.
Yeah.
To the point it kind of threw me off a little bit, to be honest with you. I was expecting a bit more of a punch. But that being said, like it's tasty. It's very tasty. I think, especially with the fact that it is America's only officially certified Trappist brewery, that adds some cool factor to it. I'm kind of dancing between a 4.5 and a 5, because I did really enjoy it, but I don't know. I think I'm leaning just a hair to 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
You sure?
I think so. I think just based on the flavors, the smoothness of it is good. That is a net positive for the beer.
Yeah.
But I feel like it could have used a little bit more, I don't know, just a little more flavor. I was expecting more flavor, and I didn't get as much as I was expecting. So, that counted against it in my book.
Okay.
But still very delicious, and I big up Spencer for being the only American Trappist brewery. So, shout out.
All right. I can dig that. I feel a little bit differently about it. I think that contextually, an American brewery being, doing something good enough to be even recognized as an official Trappist brewery is already good enough. And I think that Spencer does well enough to earn the title of a Trappist brewery.
Sure.
I would give it a 5.
Okay.
0.5.
Wow.
5.5.
Wow.
I'm going to give it 5.5, and I think that this is to say that they are doing well enough to be in the discussion as all of the other well-known Trappist breweries around the world.
Sure.
I think that, I think they accomplished what they set out to do. Malt forward, caramelly notes. Maybe it could have been, maybe if it was, as you say, a little bit more flavorful, that could have pushed it to a 6. Maybe make it the perfect Trappist beer.
Sure. I want to give a little retraction here to the point of it's not unflavorful.
Right.
You definitely get a mouthful of that malty flavor and sweetness, and it's all there.
4.5's a good score.
I'm just trying to let people know. I'm not trying to lead them astray. I'm not saying this is a bad brew at all. It's very good. I'm just saying I think the shift of expectation in my mind is what led me to that point.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I don't know. I think I might like Trappist beers a little bit more than you, though.
Maybe.
Just at the end of the day.
Maybe.
I don't know. Let's have more.
Okay.
We haven't had a lot of Trappist beers on here in a while. Like, when's the last time we had, like, a fucking chime or, like, fucking...
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it has been quite a while. We usually have them towards the holidays because they tend to be a bit heavy drinkers. So,
yeah.
But now I'm more than happy to have some more doubles and triples.
Let's reintroduce some of those because we've done a lot. We've done a lot in the neighborhood of like lagers, kolsches, fucking
IPAs.
Yeah. Let's get a little weird.
Okay. I'm down.
Weird. Let's get weird this year. 2022. Let's do some weird shit. Let's do some more sours. Let's do some more Trappist stuff. Let's do some saisons. Let's do some stuff outside of our
wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get weird. We got 52 episodes. Let's get weird.
Okay. I'm down.
All right. Well, Obi's down, and so that means you have to wait till next week to hear the whatever weird shit that we get into. But in the meantime, this has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupa, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
The year of the funk.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have a beautiful evening.
We love you.
The camera guy. Beat it, couldn't make it to 2 hours.
Almost. It was almost.